All right, Linnea, I have 4 o'clock if you want to go ahead and get started.
Great. Thank you, Susanna. Welcome everyone to the special member meeting of the Moss Creek Owners Association. I'm Linnea Wilson and I serve as your president. The first order of business is to determine if we have a fully constituted meeting in compliance with the MCOA covenants. Jody Rolfe, our MCOA secretary, will report whether we have received enough proxies to establish a quorum. Jody?
Thank you, Linnea. Good afternoon, everybody. I will now read the notice of the meeting, which was dated September 14th. It said, in accordance with the provisions of the Moss Creek governance documents, notice is hereby given that the special meeting of the members of the Moss Creek Owners Association, Incorporated, will be held via Zoom webinar on Thursday, October 13th, 2022 at 4 p.m. for the purpose of conducting all lawful business of the association and to announce the results of the Board of Director elections. Included with the meeting notice was a proxy for execution. The Moss Creek covenants established that the quorum requirement for regular or special meetings of the association as 30% of those entitled to cast votes either in person or by proxy. This proxy is used to establish the quorum and also provides for full power of substitution, but only as to those matters included on the agenda for the meeting which is shown. As to our quorum, Article 3, Section 5 of the Moss Creek Covenants establishes a quorum requirement of a minimum of 30% of eligible votes, which for this meeting is 611, either in person or by proxy. We have 926 by proxy, representing 57 of the eligible votes. We therefore have established a quorum and may proceed with the meeting.
Thank you, Jody. So here is our agenda for today. In addition to my remarks, you will hear from John Miller, our general manager, and Chris Herbishon, the MCOA treasurer. We will reserve time at the end of the meeting for questions related to the items we are covering today. You may send your questions during the meeting by using the Q&A box on your screen. As is our custom, please include your name and address, as anonymous questions will not be answered. And please submit questions, not statements, as we will read and respond to questions only. Thank you. First, we will need to approve 3 sets of minute meetings, which have been posted on the website for review. I would like to entertain a motion to waive the reading of the minutes of the following meetings. Special member meeting minutes of October 26th, 2021. The called special member meeting minutes of January 11th, 2022. And the annual meeting minutes of April 19th, 2022. And accept them in the form in which they were distributed. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. If anyone has an objection to approving the minutes as listed above, please state so in the Q&A section on the bottom of your screen. Otherwise, I will assume that you are in favor and the motion will be approved. Susanna, do we have any objections?
No, ma'am.
Okay, motion is passed. Moving on, here is our current year's board members. Almost here.
I got a delay. Hold on one second.
Sorry.
There we go.
There we go. I want to thank them all for their tireless efforts all year in service of the community. I'd also like to mention the nominating committee. I'd like to thank Mike Himes for serving as chair of the nominating committee this year, along with my sincere appreciation for the efforts of everyone on this committee. Your service is greatly appreciated by all. Moss Creek functions through its committees, which serve as the interface between members and management. Serving on a community is a great way to serve your community not only today, but also be involved in shaping Moss Creek for the future. We owe everyone who serves on the committee a debt of gratitude. There are quite a few who volunteered this year, and their names are shown on this slide. Thank you all very much again for your service. And everyone, please look forward to information regarding 2023 committee needs early next month. Before I turn the meeting over to our General Manager, John Miller, I wanted to again share with you the key results of the 2022 Member Satisfaction Survey. I do this for a few reasons. First is to show how important it is to participate in this survey each year. It provides the committees, board, and management with critical information on where we need to focus our efforts to keep Moss Creek a wonderful place to live for years to come. Our participation rate was 69% of households, which is well above the industry average. But we would love to see this even higher to ensure that we get everyone's critical input. On key measures, the first is overall satisfaction. 93% of members in Moss Creek are satisfied with their experience. The mean satisfaction score of 5.9 out of 7 is above the industry benchmark of 5.79 and improves slightly over last year's score. Attachment is the bridge between member satisfaction and loyalty, which is driven by efforts of the community to develop more engaged members. It ultimately measures the effects of the services and programs provided throughout the year. Attachment helps us to understand if the changes and initiatives we take are impacting the membership in a positive way. All three measures of attachment to Moss Creek showed an improvement over the 2021 scores. The Net Promoter Score is a widely used research question across many industries. It indicates the loyalty to a service, brand, or in our case, our community. Key is to have high Net Promoter Score, indicating that the membership is actively speaking positively about the community to encourage others to come live here. The biggest increase year over year was in this area. We had a Net Promoter Score of 55.45, which was up from last year and is well above the industry average of 44. Our goal each year should be to drive this measurement to the best-in-class score of 60. To drive these critical measurements of satisfaction, attachment, and loyalty, we look to those elements in the community where importance is rated high, but satisfaction is on the needs improvement end or low end. This is the upper left-hand quadrant you see in front of you. This quadrant includes such items as the clubhouse facilities, dining, and golf course conditions, all areas that John will cover next. It also includes the fitness center facility and Bostwick Pavilion, which are being reviewed by the Facilities Committee as areas for focus in the future. Now I will turn the meeting over to John Miller, our General Manager, for his update.
Thank you, Linnea, and good afternoon to everyone. Thanks for joining us today for the special member meeting. First, I would like to take a few moments to recognize members of our management team. In alphabetical order, Jim Albano, Chief of Security, Pinckney Crosby, Facility Maintenance Manager, Karen Davidson, Human Resources Manager, Susanna Johnston, Assistant General Manager, Tom Loeb, Director of Golf, Jim O'Connor, Clubhouse Manager, Mike Paulmeyer, Fitness and Wellness Director, Katie Ruth, Director of Racket Sports, Payman Shamlu, Controller, Stephen Stewart, our new Executive Chef, Roger Ward, the Water Oak Utility Manager, Mitchell Wilkerson, Director of Golf Course and Grounds Maintenance. I would also like to take a moment to recognize employees who reach milestones in their tenure at Moss Creek during 2022. We have a total of 9 employees who will receive service awards later this year, including Daphne Castillo, Don Hammer, and Gene Biz, all from security, will receive a 5-year award. Joe Girolamo from facilities maintenance and Trevor Robinson from the Clubhouse will receive 10-year awards. Charles Chucky Tyson from community maintenance and Kareem Boulam and Diane Williams from the Clubhouse team will be recognized for 15 years of service. And last, but certainly not least, I am pleased to note that Faye Barnard, our receptionist and member relationship specialist, is celebrating 25 years with Moss Creek this year. Faye is a member favorite and is affectionately known by staff as Miss Moss Creek. My thanks to all of our staff for their dedication and commitment to excellent service in the Moss Creek community. I have one final note on a personnel matter that I'd like to share. As many of you are aware, Jim O'Connor, our clubhouse manager, is dealing with a medical condition. Jim had surgery on Monday. I'm happy to report that the surgery went well and he expects to get out of the hospital in a few days. He is in good spirits and is looking forward to returning to work as soon as possible. In the meantime, our food and beverage operation is in the capable hands of Crystal and Hannah on the service side of things, and Chef Stephen and sous chef Andy on the culinary side. Now for a short review of projects and other activities this year. Linnea touched on the membership survey, the importance of the membership survey, and I want to note the feedback that we get in the annual membership survey guides the goals we set each year. The survey reveals opportunities for improving membership satisfaction. This includes with regard to our services, our programming, our amenities, and our community infrastructure. In June, we opened our newest amenity at Moss Creek with the addition of 4 pickleball courts at our racket center. This is the first of what is planned as a 2-phase project. When we prepared the site for court construction, we included substructure improvements to accommodate up to a total of 8 courts. But as noted, we started with only 4 courts in phase 1. Phase 2 will include up to 4 additional courts, depending on demand, and phase 2 will also include a restroom facility, a covered seating area, and parking improvements. The timing for a second phase will depend on how quickly demand grows, as well as financial considerations. The amount of pickleball play is really picking up now that the weather is more accommodating. Katie and Becca have scheduled a variety of game opportunities and clinics to introduce members to the game, including several free intro to pickleball clinics. We are also seeing groups of members forming for regular weekly play. And tennis continues to be strong as well, with several teams from Moss Creek competing in USTA and interclub leagues. The newly renovated South Golf Course reopens tomorrow with a special grand reopening event. The renovation project began in April and the course has been closed to play since mid-May. Work done on the South Course this year includes installation of a new irrigation system, regrassing of all greens, and renovation of the tees, including laser leveling, regrassing, and for some tees, reshaping, realignment, or total reconstruction. There has also been a lot of other work done on the South Course during the closure, including repair of damaged concrete cart paths, over 80,000 square feet of new sod to improve turf conditions, replacement of a drainage pipe across number 10 fairway, significant tree trimming on several holes. Bunkers have been cleaned, edged, and sand replenished as needed. When you play the renovated course in the coming days, you will certainly notice the improvements that have been made. Please keep in mind, however, that the new turf on the greens and tees is still growing in. Greens will be a little slower, and until they grow in more fully, they will be a little hard and won't hold shots as well as a mature green. The tees still have some thin spots. Mitchell's team overseeded the tees with ryegrass early this week, and they will do a second overseed in a few weeks. As we have noted, this is a one-time measure to provide a better tee surface through the winter and early spring months. We do not plan to overseed tees or other areas in the future years. A few other things you will notice include new rakes in the bunkers, new flags, flagpoles and cup liners, new red hazard stakes and refreshed white OB stakes, and new cart directional signs. Yardage numbers for the sprinkler heads have been ordered and will be installed as soon as possible. We had to wait to order the sprinkler head yardage markers until the irrigation work was finished and distances could be accurately measured. A considerable amount of work has also been done on the North Course this year. Playing conditions in the spring were not very good. Maintenance had applied a herbicide over the winter to kill poana in the fairways, but the treatment also stunted the green up of the Bermuda in the fairways, particularly in shady areas and heavy traffic areas. Mitchell's team aerified and fertilized these areas extensively during May and June, and they also laid a lot of sod on the North Course during the summer to improve the conditions. By late June, the playing conditions were much improved, and member feedback in recent weeks has been positive. A major renovation of the clubhouse got underway in May. The general contractor, Fraser Construction, mobilized in late May and has been working steady on the project since that time. The project includes the expansion and renovation of the kitchen, renovation of the member dining areas to create a more open and expanded casual dining space, along with new furniture, fixtures, and furnishings throughout the clubhouse. We are working with Woods Dendy Architects and Kelly Karen Designs on the project. Work on the project is proceeding on schedule. We meet with the architect and general contractor at least every other week, and we communicate regularly between meetings. We knew going in that with supply chain problems, the availability of equipment, furniture, and materials could be an issue. Items with long lead times were ordered very early in the project, and we have had to make changes in some items when the original choice had too long of a delivery time, but we have not had to compromise quality in doing that. Overall, we are pleased with the communication and cooperation of the design team, the general contractor, subcontractors, and our owner's representative. The construction schedule calls for the project to be finished by the end of March, and at this point, we feel confident that we will meet that goal. Now that the furniture and finish selections are complete, our design team is working on renderings to display the new look of the interior spaces. We will share the renderings with the membership as soon as we have them available. We have done a number of things to provide other dining and entertainment opportunities for the membership while the clubhouse is closed. First, we expanded the menu at Mackey Creek Grill, including the addition of weekly specials. We have also offered a wide array of fun activities and events for members throughout the summer and fall, many at the pool and at Bostwick Pavilion, but also including many off-site activities as well. Our food and beverage staff has had a regular cookout on the golf course every Friday, weather permitting, and we have had a beverage cart on the North Course during play. We also arranged for reciprocal dining privileges at 4 area clubs through September. Over the winter months, when outdoor dining will not be in demand, we are planning to offer a takeout dinner menu in the evenings, similar to what we did at the clubhouse during the COVID closure. We do plan to continue to offer lunch at the grill also during the winter months. We can't completely make up for the lack of a clubhouse, but we hope that our efforts have helped to fill the social and dining gap during the closure. A project that will get underway shortly is renovation of the sign at our entrance and replacement of 2 signs along our frontage on Highway 278. And this project also includes some landscape work along the entryway. This project was recommended by a working group under the Green and Grounds Committee and was approved by the board earlier this year. The sign contractor has been waiting on delivery of materials, which they now expect to receive very soon. They will begin work as soon as they have all materials on hand. We expect the work on the sign will be completed within about 3 weeks from when it begins. The basic design of the entry sign, including the iconic waterfall feature, will be retained. The refurbished sign will have a low-maintenance, regionally inspired porcelain oyster shell veneer with improved visibility of the Moss Creek lettering. The 2 signs on Highway 278 closest to our entrance will be replaced with a new look as shown on the screen. The other 2 signs along 278 will be removed. In fact, one has already been removed. Some landscape work planned for later this year will include removal of overgrown azaleas on the west side of the entrance and the addition of uplighting on mature live oaks near the entrance. A second phase of this project is planned for next year. This phase will include further simplification of the entrance landscaping to better reflect the natural beauty of Moss Creek, to showcase the unique asset of the Equestrian Center, and to reduce landscape maintenance cost. Last winter, we hired an electrical engineer to evaluate the wiring in the stables building at the Equestrian Center. A concern arose last fall when an extension cord plugged into an exterior electrical socket shorted out. The electrical inspection identified no immediate fire or safety hazards, but did identify the need for repairs to eliminate potential risks. The project was bid last spring, but it has taken us until this fall to get a contractor to begin work on rewiring the building. It has been a slow process, but we do expect the work to be completed within a few weeks. Work on the road repaving project for 2022 is scheduled to begin very soon. We bid the work in late spring, but it took until early August before we could finalize a contract with the low bidder. As with so many projects, the demand for contractors in our area is very high, which affects both the availability of contractors and the timing of projects. We experienced the same thing with the electrical project at the Equestrian Center. We have several streets included in the paving work as shown on the screen. The number of projects or number of streets to be paved is higher this year, partly because we decided to combine the 2021 and 2022 projects into a single year project. As I have explained in several messages this year, we will be doing some storm drainage work along streets scheduled for paving, and we will also be repairing damaged pavement caused by root intrusion and other factors as part of the work as well. We will be sending emails to residents along the streets to be paved to keep you informed on the timing of the work. Pavement overlay is a disruptive process in the neighborhoods where the paving occurs, and we will do our best to work with the contractors and residents to limit the disruption as much as possible. Finally, I want to touch briefly on a future project that I know is of interest in the community. Earlier this year, we received approval from state and federal authorities for an expansion of wet slips at our marina. This is a process we started a couple of years ago, and we were pleased to finally get a positive response on the proposed project. The permit allows us to add approximately 28 new slips as part of an expansion of Dock A, which is the dock to the left of the boat ramp. We will be extending the pier with additional wet slips to the north of the existing Dock A structure. The project is tentatively scheduled for 2025 in our 5-year capital plan. The permit is good for 5 years, so we would have to get the project completed by 2027 or risk losing permission for the expansion. So to sum it all up, this has been an incredibly busy year at Moss Creek. We are making what I believe is the largest investment in our amenities and infrastructure at one time since the community was first developed. This project activity has been and continues to be on top of regular operations, and also while we are still dealing to some extent with the staffing and other challenges brought on by the pandemic. I'm proud of the effort our team has given this year. We have seen delays in some of the projects, but it hasn't been for lack of effort by our team. Thank you all for your attention. Now I will turn it over to Chris Hervishon for the Treasurer's Report.
All right, party time. Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Hervishon. I am a board member and also the treasurer of the Moss Creek Owners Association this year. On the screen is an overview of the presentation I'm about to make today. I will introduce the various committees and members that comprise the community's finance function, as well as discuss the association's financial performance thus far for 2022. On the screen, you'll see a list of the Finance Committee's roles and responsibilities as defined by our bylaws and policy statements. The focus of the Finance Committee is to ensure the decisions and actions we make always support the Moss Creek mission to provide an exceptional mix of services and amenities that enhance the appeal, value, and quality of life for our members, while protecting the assets of our association. The Finance Committee is a dedicated and diligent group of community members. This year, the committee members are myself as Treasurer and Committee Chair, Dale Todd, Vice Chair, Jan Alpert, Don Collins, Jack Haley, Vince Hughes, John Lozan, Peter Sparzo, Linnea Wilson, who's the MCOA President and ex officio, and we are supported by John Miller, our GM, and Payman Shamlu, our Controller. The audit process is supervised by Moss Creek's Audit Committee, whose functions and duties are explicitly defined in our bylaws and policy statements as shown on this slide. The Audit Committee is also a dedicated and diligent group of community members. Their financial aid and legal expertise are crucial to the financial success of the community. This year, the committee members are Richard Obrig, Committee Chair, Judy Johnson, Lynn McFeeters, Jim Winslow, and myself as an ex officio member. The work of the committee members, as well as the talented administrative and accounting staff that support these committees, is invaluable to the success of the community, and I would like to personally thank all of them for their time and their effort this year. Before getting into the numbers, I'd like to begin with a few definitions to make sure we are all speaking the same language. Our operating income is the net of our revenue minus our expenses. The revenue includes items such as our annual dues and other usage fees. Our expenses include wages and benefits, insurance, and items including cost of goods, such as food and other supplies. These expenses are, for the most part, tied to the services provided to the membership. Non-operating income is the money that is mainly generated from membership certificate fees, which is the amount that is paid when a property changes hands. Non-operating expenses are generally interest payments. Reserve funding is the amount of money we set aside each year to cover replacement of capital assets as they age. The total of our net operating income and non-operating income are used to fund the reserve account, pay down debt, and fund new projects. Operating revenue for the year through August 31st was $7,796,000. This is compared to a budgeted amount of $7,703,000, resulting in a positive variance of $93,000. Operating expenses for the year, again through August 31st, were $7,356,000. This is compared to a budgeted amount of $7,563,000, resulting in a positive variance of $207,000. Our net operating surplus for the year through August 31st is $440,000. We budgeted an operating surplus of $140,000 for the same time period, and financially, we have performed better than the budget by $300,000 through August 31st. Of note, revenue has been higher due to increased activity fee signups, as well as amenity usage, such as golf and tennis. Activity fee signups were 622 versus a goal of 575. This is a great sign for the health of our community. Expenses are lower than the budgeted amount, notably due to wages and employee benefits. Lower wages and employee benefits expense is driven by an inability to fill open positions early in 2022. That condition has since been improved due to actions by the board and management regarding employee pay. So where does all the operational money go? And what does that look like over time? This is an area chart which shows the percentage of the various operating expenses over time versus the total operating expenditures. Of note, you will notice the light blue section. Salaries, wages, benefits, and payroll taxes, in other words, people costs, make up slightly more than 60% of the total Moss Creek operating budget. As our people costs go, so too does our total budget. The 2022 revised budget at the far right includes mid-year increases in salaries and wages approved by the board in order to attract and retain staff and bring Moss Creek closer to in line with other communities and employers in the area. The effort has already paid a positive impact. The administration has been receiving applications for more qualified candidates to fill open positions, and open positions are being filled faster than in the recent past. Security is now fully staffed, as is the golf operation. Additionally, the pay increase has also had a positive effect on the golf maintenance department, which has been able to replace contract labor staff with full-time Moss Creek employees. That is a good thing. The total budget for the association is also largely driven by people expense. However, it is important to note that at its core, the member experience is largely driven by people. Next slide. The non-operating budget driven by certificate fee income and the partial receipt of the employee retention credit is over budget by $797,000. The employee retention credit is a COVID era, and yes, I said COVID era credit for the employers, which was put in place by the federal government. More pressing to Moss Creek, though, is certificate fee revenue is currently 106% of the total year budget with 4 months left to go in the year. To summarize the information I presented on the last few slides, actual results for 2022 through August 31st are better than budget by $1,097,000. The sum total of Moss Creek debt at present is $715,000 for an equipment loan. This debt was expected to be paid off and renewed this fall. However, due to supply chain issues, the equipment, including golf carts, will be replaced in the first quarter of 2023. The current unrestricted cash balance is $5,414,000. The restricted cash balance of $5,183,000 is comprised of $99,000 for Stablegate, $48,000 for Royal Point, and $47,000 in escrow with various vendors. Including a $50,000 emergency fund, the cash balance as of August 31st was $10,841,000. On the screen, you'll see a summarized balance sheet for the association. Total assets as of August 31st were $29,828,000, an increase of $3,273,000 over 2021. Total liabilities as of August 31st were $4,626,000, an increase of $1,084,000 over 2021. Correspondingly, members' equity increased $2,189,000 over 2021 to $25,202,000. To summarize, Moss Creek is in a strong financial position. We have a strong balance sheet. We have $10.8 million in cash, including reserves and restricted cash. We have an adequate cash reserve account. We are allocating funds each year toward new capital, meaning a better member experience. We have a very healthy current year operating surplus. Our member equity has increased 8% year over year. Those are all good things. Looking ahead for the remainder of 2022 and into 2023, the Finance Committee will be reviewing the 5-year plan and the 2023 budget. No decisions have been made yet. And I repeat, no decisions have been made yet. That said, we are expecting to address several items which will impact the budget and the 5-year plan. Among those issues are, number 1, increased wage pressures in a historically tight labor market. Number 2, increased employee benefit costs. Number 3, increased property insurance costs. And number 4, increased materials and supplies costs. The Finance Committee and administrative staff will be working diligently to make a recommendation to the board that is in the best interest of the community. A number of scenarios have already been looked at, which include a number of variables. There are still scenarios which have not even been considered by the committee, but will be at the next meeting. No decisions have been made yet, and there is still much work left to do and much debate to be had. That concludes my treasurer's report, and up next are the Board of Directors election.
Thank you, John and Chris, for those updates on the staff, key projects, and our financial health. At this time, I will announce the results from the election of the Board of Directors. The 3 directors elected for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2025 are in alphabetical order: Jan Alpert, Don Collins, and Dana Pence. Congratulations and thank you to all who ran and to the nominating committee for their hard work. These new board members may participate at our board meetings beginning this month to help facilitate their transition to their term beginning in 2023. They will not they will be allowed to participate in discussions, but of course will not be able to vote since their term officially doesn't start until January. We have now concluded the scheduled agenda items and will open the floor for questions related to materials covered today. Please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. When submitting your question, again, please include your full name and address. So, oops, sorry for my arm if that went across.
I have one question, Linnea, I can read.
Okay.
It's from John Tamburello. Given the great financial results so far this year, will there be any thought given to holding the POA fee to the same as last year to give all of us a break, given that inflation is rising in our lives in other areas?
You want me to
Chris?
take that one?
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so will any thought be given to holding the POA fee flat? Yes, there will be thought given to that. However, as I noted, there are a number of variables that go into the budget and the 5-year plan. Similar to the answer that I gave back in April, the last time I gave a treasurer's report to the whole community. Yes, everybody who lives here experiences inflation. So do our people, the people who work here, the people who drive the member experience. And, you know, they face the same inflation that we do. We don't live in a bubble. And as I noted, and the reason why it was so important to show that area chart that with all the various percentages of where the operating expense goes, the largest expense that the community has is people cost. So yes, there will be consideration given to it. No, we have not made any decisions on what it's going to look like next year in the 5-year plan. But we are doing a whole lot of hard work, as is the administration. They're doing most of the lifting to provide us with the good numbers and the information that we need to make a good decision. But you know, that's still up in the air and will be debated over the next month or so.
Thank you, Chris.
I have another question from Adam Saslow. Will you please share the total votes received by each candidate for the board, including write-in candidates?
John, I need some direction on that. I don't believe that's something that we share, and we have never shared in the past.
No, the policy set by a prior board was upon request by a candidate, we will share the votes received by that candidate, as well as the total votes cast. But beyond that, the policy of MCOA is to keep the vote totals private.
Thank you.
I have a question from Tim Kessler. Will any thought be given to raise the POA higher than normal so we can continue to keep pace with the outside world due to inflation?
Want me to take that one too?
Sure.
Okay, happy to. Roughly the same answer, but I think a little bit of additional context, which is important to that question, the way that it's phrased, is that we did look at salary comparisons and what other communities are doing around us, and then also use some other benchmarking data from communities around the country to see what they're doing as well. And like I said, the people cost is the largest driver of the budget. So.
Great. We have one more question, and Chris, just so you know, keep yourself unmuted. It's coming at you.
Yeah, I don't know why I would bother muting.
I was going to say, don't bother.
This is a question from Stephen Bernard. Are there discussions to increase the $23,000 membership fee in the future? Follow up, any thoughts to move fee to buyer versus seller?
Okay, so the buyer versus seller part, that is always negotiable, right? So that it's traditionally been paid by the seller in Moss Creek, but that is negotiable as it is right now. We have discussed moving it from a certificate fee to an initiation fee. There are a whole host of issues that come along with doing that, issues that you wouldn't even think are issues that come along with doing that. Now, as far as the amount, moving it from 23,000 to something else, yes, the Finance Committee has already considered that this year. A lot of work has been done on that. We had a work group that took a look at that and made a recommendation to move it to 30,000. Again, no decisions have been made on that, and that is that is one of the variables that are going to go into developing the 2023 budget and the 5-year plan. So that was the recommendation that came out of the work group. It has been discussed. Again, no final decisions have been made on that, and that's going to be one of the variables that go into the larger picture that we're putting together.
Linnea, I do have a question that's from Bruce Sellers. It's in regards to speeding in the community, even though that was not expressly covered in the materials covered today. The question is, could someone speak to the continued safety issue of speeding in the community in relation to the several radar locations and speeding of large contractor vehicles? And should there be a financial consequence to speeders?
So, John, I'm going to turn that over to you, but I just wanted to add, Bruce, thank you for that. It is something we're going to be having a report on from Jim Albano at our board meeting later this month. So he needed some time to, well, I guess I'm answering it, John, never mind. He needed some time, enough time under our belts to see how the average speed has been reacting with those increased number of speeding signs out there. So we will have all of that. And as far as financial consequences, yes, there are tickets that are issued to people who speed within the community. And anything else that was okay.
Oh, here comes another question.
Okay.
Oh, it's just a thank you from Mr. Sellers.
Oh, you're welcome, Mr. Sellers. Okay. Thank you. And again, let's see, we had attendance of at one point 116. So I want to thank everybody who attended. I also just wanted to state that, you know, the satisfaction survey, I might sound like a broken record saying how important it is, because it is that your input that tells us what we need to do to make it better here for everyone. One of the things was these kind of meetings, when we asked in that survey, when's the best time for these kind of meetings, 48% of the membership said to hold them between 3 and 5. So we don't arbitrarily pick times to do this, but that was where the majority of the people said the time was best for them. So we have now concluded.
I have one more question, Linnea.
Okay, sorry.
It's from Peter Sparzo. He's asking what board members are retiring this year.
So the board members that are retiring are myself, Bonnie Walters, and Barbara Nielsen.
And I have another, as long as you're still taking questions. Well, it's a statement. We said we wouldn't read statements, but it's a statement thanking the board for looking towards the long-term future of Moss Creek. So it's a positive way to end the meeting, and that's from Stevenson.
Okay. So we've concluded the scheduled agenda items. Oh, I did that. Sorry. So thank you all for your participation. Thank you for listening in. For people who could not listen in, this is recorded and will be on the website. Susanna, when?
We'll have it up tomorrow.
Okay.
We will send that out to the membership, the link to the recording along with the announcements of the election.
Okay. So now I would like to entertain a motion to close the meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second by Jody.
Well, somebody could.
Yeah, sorry. Second.
Okay, thank you. If anyone has an objection to the adjournment, please state so in the Q&A section on the bottom of your screen. I don't think, Susanna, we've seen any objections. So I will assume you are in favor and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for attending, and thank you for your participation and your leadership to everyone on the board.
Thanks, everybody.